Let's check on the price of Bitcoin. Roughly flat today, around 61,000. Still down more than 20% over the past month, and recently hit its lowest since October of 24 when it fell below 60K. Strategy is taking advantage of the drop as they bought over 1,500 more Bitcoin just about a week after selling about 32 Bitcoin. That was their first sale since 2022. Joining us now in a first-on interview to discuss these moves is Strategy CEO PHONG Lee. Jefferies Chief Market Strategist David Zervos is still with us on set. It's great to have you both. PHONG, let's just start with the sequencing here. Why the sale? Why the purchase?
Well, I'll start with we're net purchasers of Bitcoin, and you showed a pretty nice chart there that showed on net we bought about 1,500 Bitcoin so far this month or over the last month. And why the sale? A few reasons. One, we thought it was good to inoculate the market to understand that we are willing to sell Bitcoin when we need to. We haven't needed to, but it's an important thing to do. Two, it's a lot easier for us process-wise to buy Bitcoin than to sell Bitcoin, so we want to make sure everything's working. And three, over time, we'll be able to capture assets on our balance sheet that are tax losses related to the sale of our Bitcoin. We bought Bitcoin anywhere from $10,000 up to $125,000. One reason we didn't sell our Bitcoin, we did not need to sell our Bitcoin to satisfy our dividends. We're able to do that through other capital raising activities.
I guess, PHONG, the frustration among some people that we've spoken with is that you guys kind of said, well, you'll never sell any Bitcoin, and even a small sale they get frustrated by. How do you respond? What's your message to investors, not only in your stock, but to maybe crypto investors that are, let's say, understandably frustrated right now?
We have a set of constituents that we have to be able to answer to. One is our common stock or MSTR shareholders. Second is our preferred stock or STRC shareholders. Third are our debt holders. And fourth are our Bitcoin holders, not necessarily in that order. And when it makes sense for our common stockholders for us to sell our Bitcoin, we will. We actually did it in 2022, and so we're going to do it now. Again, if you're a Bitcoin holder, we're the largest holder of Bitcoin in the world. We're the largest purchaser of Bitcoin in the world. We'll continue to be.
This is David Zervos here. I just wonder if you could help us in the macro world understand this halving of Bitcoin. What does it mean to you from a macro setting? I know we go through these periodic repositionings, there's technicals, there's lots of things you guys are in the weeds doing, but for those of us that are looking at it and saying, is there a macro story? Is there something fundamental here? Maybe also with the weakness in gold and silver and other sort of like commodities of sorts that seem to be safety plays. It is a somewhat unsafe world, and we're seeing a lot of these safety plays not really be very safe. Is there a message that we should be taking away here in the macro community from what's happened in Bitcoin over the last, since basically the halving?
Yeah, what's interesting is we are seeing still 4-year cycles with Bitcoin related to the halving. Now, whether that continues to be the case, I don't know, but it's interesting, maybe not coincidental, that 4 years ago was the last major drawdown in Bitcoin from 66K down to 16K, about a 75% drawdown right around May of 2022. And here we sit with potentially the next drawdown in Bitcoin that would then lead to an increase. When you talk about macro, because I think it's much more than the 4-year cycles, right? We have a lot of volatility in the market right now, and you talked about it earlier. Right, we have an uncertain inflationary environment, and what is the new Fed going to do with interest rates? Keep them flat, increase or decrease? We have two pretty major wars happening in the world, and with those kinds of and with crypto, right, we have the lack of clarity of what's going to happen with clarity. I think those are the three macro scenarios that are impacting Bitcoin price and impacting vol assets overall. What do we see over the long term? I do think Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation. I think Bitcoin is a hedge against big government. And I think people realize that, and that's why they've gotten into Bitcoin, and that doesn't change.
Why did you sell, PHONG?
We sold because we wanted to inoculate the market, and we sold because we wanted to test our processes.
And what did you learn from that?
We learned that everything works, right? It is interesting, right? The question is, why does the sale of 32 Bitcoin get so much attention? Our institutional shareholders that we talk to don't seem to be unnerved by it. I think the unnerving is the retail community that has views on never selling your Bitcoin, that are crypto anarchist. And frankly, we have a lot more than just them as constituents.
Phong, do you think that people are selling crypto to raise money to buy tech stocks and the SpaceX IPO? Or do you think there's a fundamental shift in how people view Bitcoin and crypto?
I think if there's $500 billion of money that is going into SpaceX and Google and Anthropic, people look at crypto in 2021 like they look at AI this year, right? As a high vol, high return asset class. And the same people that put money into crypto and have made money are going to sell it, put it into SpaceX, hope to get a 3-day pop, sell SpaceX, and turn around and buy crypto cheap. I think that's what's going to happen.
So you mentioned in the last response about clarity, and I wonder how much of this is the regulatory uncertainty. It seems like the banks have gotten a little bit more power with the stablecoin story and all the interest payments on that, and kind of the tide seems to have turned a little bit in Washington against crypto, even though it was starting out really well at the beginning of this administration. Is that a big part of it, or is that less of the story than you made it out to be?
I think the part of it is we have about a 6-month log jam of clarity getting through the Senate and getting through the House and getting through the White House. And what that opens up is a lot of definition as it relates to regulation on tokenization and on stablecoins. And when we do that, every major bank is going to flood into the space. And there are folks who think that's bad for crypto. And strategy, that's good for crypto. If you get a major financial system and all of their customers now able to buy stable coins, buy crypto, right, tokenized equities, that's a great thing. And that's why the government wants to pass this. And why there's an appearance of negativity are that banks are being pulled in begrudgingly. And the DeFi companies and the crypto companies and the neobanks realize there's a wave of competition happening. But if you're a consumer and if you're a user of financial services, this is an amazing thing that's about to happen over the next few months. And of course, it's going to be good for Bitcoin and good for crypto.
All right, Phong, we really appreciate you joining us today. Hope to check back in soon.